We have a ton of good news about the Ford stimulus check, Social Security benefits, and SSI and SSDI. Now if you guys want to know the latest news about the Ford stimulus check, then continue watching this video. Biden is taking huge action this week to fight inflation, and the Biden administration has confirmed that addressing inflation and helping low-income households financially are their top priorities. Several new relief programs are being established this month. Confronted with a sharp decline in approval ratings and the relentless increase in consumer prices, President Biden is finally shifting to full inflation fighting mode with a month-long campaign intent to contain public outrage over the rising cost of everyday goods. The White House is taking steps to calm voters and their worries about surging inflation. They are signaling that Biden understands what U.S. households are enduring and that officials are maximizing efforts to bring prices under control. This comes ahead of the midterm elections. Just last week, Biden held a rare Oval Office meeting with Jerome Powell. Central bank officials hiked interest rates again on May 4th, lifting them by 50 basis points for the first time in 2 decades. Jerome Powell has said inflation is much too high, and the Fed has also announced plans to begin running down its massive $9 trillion balance sheet. The inflation report in April showed that prices cooled off a bit, but remain near a 40-year high. Core prices, which exclude gas and food, also accelerated more than expected, underscoring how strong inflationary pressures in the economy still are. With Biden's approval rating sinking to its low, the Biden administration finally has a brand new plan to fight inflation and help the American people. Millions of Americans may get extra $225 stimulus checks under this new stimulus proposal. Millions of Americans could also get additional cash payments of $225 under a new proposal. That comes as red-hot inflation continues, and qualifying residents in Indiana may soon see the relief. Indiana's Republican governor is also proposing a plan to send $225 payments to people in the state amid the highest inflation since 1981 by tapping into the state's growing budget surplus. The governor said he will call for a special legislative session before the end of June, so lawmakers can consider and potentially act on a plan that will total $1 billion in budget surpluses. He said Indiana residents have real needs right now during this period of high inflation, from the gas pump to buying groceries, and everyone should benefit from the state's success. The $225 check comes after about 4.3 million of the state's taxpayers began receiving $125 payments last month under the same law. According to the governor's office, if it's approved, each Indiana resident who has filed 2021 taxes would be eligible to now receive a combined total of about $350 in payments. Married couples filing jointly would also receive about $700. The additional deposit will be made to the bank accounts of eligible residents in Indiana who have filed their tax returns. And that's the good news I want to hear from everybody. Now, skyrocketing gas prices is definitely a huge problem for the White House, and while the administration began the month by pivoting heavily toward its economic message, experts say the attempt has so far fallen flat, especially as the national average for a gallon of gas hits a record of $5. Along with inflation, that presents a major political challenge for Biden Democrats. The White House is showing signs that it is seriously considering a federal gas tax holiday. Some Republicans are even pushing in the opposite direction. In a Senate Agriculture Committee hearing last month, Ranking Member Senator John Boozman said that SNAP benefits and funding levels are unsustainable and criticized the recent increase in SNAP benefits. The total SNAP program cost is now nearly double what it was 5 years ago. Last month, Representative Mike Gaetz published a letter of 5 other members of the far-right House Freedom Caucus advocating for increasing requirements for SNAP recipients. Despite that, House Republicans will reevaluate SNAP benefits as part of the Farm Bill process. And New Jersey has already taken steps to boost SNAP benefits in the state by increasing the minimum benefit to $100 per household. It's a lot more than a national minimum of $23 and is almost double the minimum payment of $50 that the state set last year. Maryland also passed legislation late October to increase minimum SNAP payment to $40 a month in households with anyone over the age of 62. And according to the Hill, West Virginia lawmakers have introduced at least 5 SNAP-related bills since last year. These include a proposal to increase SNAP benefits for pregnant people and families with children by at least as much as the emergency allotments paid. So folks, I do believe that President Biden will send out more stimulus payments for the end of this year. First of all, lawmakers are now saying that Joe Biden does not want to reach an agreement on Social Security reform. It's a huge issue that could affect millions of seniors and retirees. The SA has released an updated schedule for checks. And one of the leaders of the bipartisan Senate working group that is focused on extending Social Security recently accused Biden of not engaging with them. It comes as they scramble for a way to keep the vital program solvent in past years. Senators Bill Cassidy and Angus King said this month that conversations are ongoing to reform the Social Security program, but there has been barely a word since. And several senators involved in the issue told Fox that they have not heard any updates in weeks. Cassidy also said that the bill and Biden's apparent unwillingness to meet is what's holding the group from publicly moving forward. The president had previously accused Republicans of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, a claim that has been denied by the GOP. Even as Senate aide told Fox, there has been multiple requests from both sides of the aisle to meet with President Biden, and there have not been anything yet. The aide stressed that the group was bipartisan, and its membership is in the double digits. Mitt Romney shared his thoughts on the issue. He stated it's one of the topics he'd like to see addressed because we're not seeing cuts for anybody that's in retirement or near retirement, and that's clear. He doesn't want that. Make sure that we have a system from a 25% cut, he said. And when a trust fund runs out in about a decade, it's our top priority. And Social Security checks for April are scheduled to go out. Payments are being distributed on a weekly basis, with payments going out on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesdays of every month, depending on your date of birth. If you received Social Security before May 1997, or if you're receiving both Social Security and SSI, then here it is, because you will receive Social Security payments on April 3rd, and SSI was paid out March 31st. Because one of the biggest unknowns since the Federal Reserve started its historic rate hike campaign is how many jobs could be lost from the central bank's deliberate effort to slow down the economy. So far, the labor market has stayed white hot, with unemployment hovering at a half-century low. But Federal Chair Jerome Powell's acknowledgement on Wednesday is that the banking sector meltdown could lead to tighter credit conditions for households and businesses, which would in turn affect economic outcomes, and has critics reminding him of the human aspect of that. Recessions can adversely impact Social Security's long-term financial health 3 different ways. First, the payroll tax revenue, it may be affected. The payroll tax brings in most of the program's revenue, and during recessions, it's not uncommon for the unemployment rate to rise and for workers to lose the wage guard bargaining power. If a recession adversely impacts payroll tax collection, it can accelerate the timeline to reduce the benefits. That means less people will be getting stimulus checks. Now, folks, here's the most important stimulus, Social Security news, and stimulus information that you want. Continue watching this video so you don't miss out on this. Current inflation rate, economists are expecting that Social Security checks will only increase a small amount next year. This is a big issue, as millions of Americans rely on the program. Democrats are meeting and trying to come up with ways to prevent a drastic decrease in monthly benefits. For most retired Americans, though, Social Security isn't just some check that comes in the mail or is deposited into their checking account once monthly. Rather, it's a vital source of income that helps seniors make ends meet. The program is responsible for pulling nearly 22 million people out of poverty each year, 16 million of which are adults ages 65 and up. And since 2002, at least 80% of surveyed retirees have told the National Pollster that Social Security benefit is a major or minor source of income. And because of the important role Social Security plays in the financial well-being of seniors during retirement, there's arguably no more event more than anticipated in the program's annual COLA during the second week of October every single year. Social Security's COLA is the raise that the program passes along to beneficiaries most years to account for inflation, the rising price of goods and services. Raises in quotation marks to represent that this is an increase in benefits designed to match the rate of inflation and not to outpace it.